Tonight, we're going to be learning about a 37-year-old cold case of this little girl right here. Her name is Jennifer Sue Delgado, okay? She is extremely precious, a sweet little angel. On the evening of June 6, 1988, 8-year-old Jennifer Delgado, a soon-to-be third grader at Westwood Terrace Elementary School in San Antonio, Texas, and her mother, Melita Delgado, walked across the street from their West Side home, entered the West Rock Coin Op Wash and Dry on 130 West Oak Road, so lots of Wests here, to do laundry together and to have a mother-daughter moment, peacefully enjoying precious time with one another as they discussed upcoming summer plans. Jennifer told her mother that she wanted to use some of her summer vacation time to see her grandmother in Cotulla, Texas, which is going south towards Laredo and Corpus area. Back in their home, just a short distance across the street, Jennifer's dad, Rogelio, and siblings were busy with their evening routines. Jennifer sat in a chair near her mother as Melita loaded clothes into the washer and dryer, chattering away, just the two of them alone in a small building. It was 87 degrees on that warm San Antonio night when at 8 p.m., a teenager, also described as a young man, so we have a teenager described as a young man at 8 p.m., entered the laundromat and made a beeline for the restroom. Now, that restroom fact was only reported once in one outlet. I went ahead and followed up on that, and that is true. He went straight to the restroom when he walked in. The mother and daughter continued to talk and do their laundry. A few minutes later, the same young man exited the bathroom and walked over to the soda machine. He was described as a white 17 to 18-year-old boy, standing between 5'2" and 5'4" inches, clean shaven with shoulder-length dark wavy hair and a slender build, around 130 pounds. He was wearing blue jeans and a blue and white flowered Hawaiian-style shirt. The teen put 50 cents into the vending machine, but no soda came out of it. He tried to get his money back, but to no avail. This moment is when everything changed, and he suddenly became enraged at losing his coins. He started kicking the machine in an angry outburst, according to news reports. But Melita recalled to police later that she remembered hearing him punch the machine as well. It's at this moment that suddenly, out of nowhere, he, the teen, pulled out a knife. He turned and he lunged at Jennifer's mother, with that knife stabbing her in the shoulder as she screamed for Jennifer to run and get help across the street from her father, Rogelio. The tiny 8-year-old jumped up from her seat to run to the door of the laundromat, but not before the enraged man captured her, preventing her from escaping, and slashed her in the stomach. The attacker then hurried out of the laundromat, jumping into a silver or gray late model, keep in mind this is 1988, late model Honda or sedan, driven by a second male individual, according to a 13-year-old witness who saw the events unfold. To this day, information on this getaway driver has been vague or nondescript. The two sped out of the parking lot heading west on US Highway 90, and in the almost 40 years since have never been identified. Jennifer and her mother ran, wounded and bloody, across the street toward their home, screaming at the neighbors to call Melita's husband and the police. They collapsed in the front yard. Jennifer's father, Rogelio Delgado, stated that he heard the commotion and he ran outside to them. And a 1988 report quoted Melita as relaying the information that it was real quick. I didn't really see it. And then suddenly she felt someone standing next to her and a blade stabbing her. The ambulance came, took both of them to nearby Wilford Hall Medical Center, and within 3 hours, Jennifer was dead, despite multiple attempts to revive her. Her mother was taken to surgery and survived her traumatic injuries, causing what is surely an unspeakable grief that no one should ever experience to this poor woman's heart. This case was so sensitive, so disturbing and horrific that it became a major news story sweeping over the city. It resonates to this day because after this case happened, a slew of other cases such as Erica Boteo, Emily Garcia, Heidi Seaman, seemed to happen one after another after another. In addition to very little follow up, the case seemed to fade off for over 3 decades. Compared to the cases that followed in the years that followed, this one got probably the least coverage after about a 5-year period. Jennifer's mom survived and provided police with a description of a person who turned an otherwise normal evening with her daughter into an utter nightmare that no parent should have to endure, and certainly no child. From the description given, police were able to provide 2 sketches of the suspect in addition to a unique descriptor of his height, that being 5'2" and at the highest 5'4", which is relatively short. His age, abnormally young seeming for such a violent crime. His clothing, a white and blue flowered Hawaiian shirt, being very specific and the kind that would stand out easily. The man had long, wavy, dark hair and was thin or slender, according to Jennifer's mother. Even the description of the Honda, its color, and the direction he and the getaway driver escaped to were still not enough to garner up useful tips from the public. Today, the case stands cold with a $25,000 reward from Crime Stoppers for any useful tips or leads. While it's difficult to find a ton on this case, classmates of Jennifer and her sister and their friends from all the way back in the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd grade still meet up annually to keep her name alive and the case. One of those friends, a little boy named Christopher Palmer at the time, is now an adult who went on to start a foundation in her name, the Jennifer Sue Delgado Memorial Foundation. Now, what you see right now on the screen, this is an example of what is on her page for her grave. If you go online and you go look up the cemetery and the funeral information, this is what you'll see. Okay? This is the description of the guy that the mother gave. 2 sketches were done. One was right after she was injured and the other was shortly later. And this was in conjunction with the 13-year-old teen who witnessed it all from across the street. So the mother's sketch, I believe, is the one on the right, and the teen's is the one on the left. And what's interesting is you see they both look extremely similar, especially the hair, the shape of the face, the mouth. But you'll notice the nose on one is a little crooked, which I think is important because this could indicate that perhaps this attacker had previously broken their nose. So I think it's something important to notate, okay? Other than that, both descriptions are dead on, pretty much the same. So this is what the person looked like who did this to that little girl and her mother. In January 2022, the San Antonio City Council designated a portion of West Rock Drive near US 90 as the Jennifer Sue Delgado Memorial Way. Police interviewed 17 suspects, narrowing the list to 3 and then to none. All had alibis, police said. Another detective told the now defunct newspaper in 1989, the San Antonio Light, that they lifted fingerprints from the coins inside the vending machine. They dusted the entire soda machine in the hope of identifying possible suspects. And yet nothing substantial came from those fingerprints, although they still have them on file. They followed tips from hundreds of calls that came in, and they brought in a hypnotist to try and elicit more information from Jennifer's mother. If you have any information that may be useful, please call San Antonio Police Department Cold Case Tip Line anytime, day or night, at 210-207-7401, or you can call 210-207-7635. Or you can call Crime Stoppers at 210-224-STOP. I will put all of that information below this video. So, with that said, let's go through some more of this slideshow, okay? And then I will answer questions. I went ahead and pulled the weather for that date because they said it was very hot. And you know me, I'm always like, let's check the weather, right? It's the summer. It's June. It's Texas. We know it's going to be hot. We know it's going to be hot. But what I found interesting is the heat peaked right before they go into this coin laundromat, right? At about 8 p.m., it was 87 degrees. What's interesting is that this was actually the coolest temperature on record up until that point. And even to this day, in June, when it peaked downward at 60 degrees that night. So technically, this was the coolest June 8th on record. I'm going to show you right here an example of one of the news articles that I was able to pull. Girl fatally stabbed by man at laundromat. An 8-year-old girl was fatally stabbed, and her mother was injured by a man who flew into a rage after a vending machine at a coin-operated laundry shortchanged him. Jennifer Delgado, who was stabbed in the abdomen, died at 11 p.m. Monday at Wilford Hall Air Force Medical Center, hospital spokesman Sergeant Lowell Cook said today. By the way, Wilford Hall, the Air Force Medical Center, this was literally within a mile or two of the home. It was so close, and so many people in that area live and work in the military or on base. And it's very interesting how close it was. Her mother, Melita Delgado, who was 25 years old at the time, was in fair condition with a stab wound to her left side. I will argue that in multiple reports, she was not in fair condition. Police Detective John Lopez said that Ms. Delgado and her daughter were alone in the coin-operated laundry about 8 p.m. Monday night. So this was a Monday night when a man entered the building. He put money in the soda machine, and when it didn't happen, he kicked it as he left. And the lady and her daughter were stabbed, Lopez said. Now, that is a very brief summary. He didn't just kick it. She said he punched it, which makes me think that this person who did this likely would have had busted knuckles too, which is something to consider. We don't have any motive. We don't have any reason for it. We don't have anything, he said. The girl was stabbed first, said Vicky Martinez, a neighbor who tried to help the pair. Now, I called and confirmed that it was actually the mother who was stabbed. She screamed for Jennifer to get up and run. And as Jennifer jumped up to run, before she could even turn to run out the door, he got her in the stomach with the knife. She was sitting kind of behind and next to her mother in a chair. She ran across the street with her daughter in her arms, screaming for help, Miss Martinez said. I wrapped a towel around the little girl before the ambulance arrived, Miss Martinez said. Melita was talking, but Jennifer had passed out. Police were looking for a Hispanic man in his late teens or early 20s who was wearing a flower print shirt and driving a small gray two-door sedan. Now, there's a lot to unpack here. He was reported by the press as being a light-skinned Hispanic male. However, official reports at the time and what the mother stated to police was that he was likely white. Now, either or, we have a lot of Anglo-Saxon people. I'm Hispanic. I don't look Hispanic. I'm Hispanic Polish, believe it or not. But regardless, he is a light-skinned, either white or light-skinned Latino male. The mother said he looked like he was in his teens. He was 17 to 18 years old. However, they also reported his early 20s, just in case this suspect was in his early 20s and just happened to look young on account of him being clean shaven, which is why you will see reports that say early 20s clean shaven and also late teens. He was wearing a flower print Hawaiian shirt, and it was blue and white. He was not the one driving the gray two-door sedan. There was another guy in the sedan who was driving. It has been reported as gray and silver. Okay, so just a heads up, there was a getaway driver. There is no description of this getaway driver other than he existed, and it's likely because those sedans, they had a top. You couldn't really see too well in them, okay? Now, Jennifer sued Delgado Memorial Way. This is the sign that was erected up on the west side that was started by her classmate, Christopher. Now, this is a little side note that I wanted to give you guys. Christopher, hold on, let me pull myself up here. Christopher, in a lot of the stuff that we're going to look at, you're going to get to see him and you're going to get to hear him talk about Jennifer. Who is Christopher? Is it a brother? Is it a cousin? No. Christopher, and this is the part where I try not to cry. He had a crush on her when they were in first and second grade, right? So they're little bitty kids. They're in school together. That's his crush. The Valentine's Day prior to that June, Christopher was her Valentine. They got each other Valentine's cards. She was like his best friend. She was his little crush. She gave him that Valentine. It meant everything to him. So when they went back to school for third grade, he was so upset. I mean, this is an 8-year-old boy And to have her not be around all of a sudden and to have to be explained death, it's a lot to comprehend. It bothered Christopher so much. It caused him such immense grief that he has spent the rest of his life pretty much being the single solitary person, aside from her siblings, who advocate constantly for Jennifer Sue Delgado. He is the one who had the idea of, let's get all of her classmates together in 2001, 2002, 2003. This is a long time later for them. They are adults at that point. They are like in their late 20s. He's like, let's go out and let's hang out right by where this happened and let's celebrate her. Her sister came out, and it was something that, like, even all those years later, he said, let's make this a tradition. He still has the Valentine. He made it his personal mission to not only get her a memorial highway so that no one will forget, but to also make it a point to make her a website, to keep the suspect on everybody's mind by constantly posting pictures and the mugshots, the sketches of this guy. Um, he actually went out and did something really cool, and you're gonna get to see it. Now, if you're from South Texas or San Antonio, your mind might be blown by some of these, but if you're not, you might be like, who the hell is that person? I told you guys a while back how we had people named like Nacho Estrada and Patsy Torres and Alamo City Heat. These were the people that came to your school when you were in elementary, middle school, all the way up to high school, and told you, don't do drugs, kids. And we would get these concerts, we would get these comedy shows, we would get these what do they call it? These, these little get-togethers where they bring you out and they perform for you, and then they tell you, don't be bad, don't do drugs, stay away from gangs. These are local city heroes, okay? And not just that, like anybody who was well known in the city. Sonny Melendrez, he was very popular on the radio for what it's worth. He got disgraced Henry Cisneros, I believe, was one of them. He got everybody who was a big deal in San Antonio. If he could have got Selena, he would have. To go out and make commercials about Jennifer Sue Delgado, encouraging people to come forward. So this guy started a campaign with local city heroes to talk about her, to put on the foundation's website. He started a foundation that gets scholarships to kids. He has kept her name in the spotlight along with her siblings for a long time. Now, her mother and father, obviously, this was extremely traumatic for them. Now, with Jennifer Sue Delgado's case, there were interviews done, but there just weren't a lot. There weren't a lot of news stories on it after it immediately happened. So, with that said, yes, the parents grieve, but they have also said to the news and when interviewed that they've given her case to God. And I don't blame them, because at the time, SAPD was kind of piss poor. They had a lot of corruption going on, and not enough was done to help solve this case. So her parents probably felt a bit hopeless. And the only way that they could cope with it and deal with it, I think, was probably doing what they felt was best, which they are faithful people. They are extremely religious, but they did advocate for their daughter for a long time. You have to remember, Melita was a victim too. And not only did she get stabbed, but she had to see this horrific thing happen. And her dad, Jennifer's dad, is at home watching the other kids across the street and had no idea what was going on. So to run out and to see this horrific thing, they were extremely, extremely traumatized. So let's look at some more. This just has to do with the weather. This is what her parents put out to the paper in Cotulla and Dilley and South Texas. Now, Dilley, Cotulla, if you remember the Dilly bar from Dairy Queen, you can thank Dilley, Texas for that. There's a ton of like Catholic families that live out there, and they barbecue, and they have like big ass ranches, and the best beans to this day I've ever had were in Cotulla, Texas, and I love passing through that place. That's where her family and a lot of friends of the family were from. So they had a funeral down there, which is where the grandmother also lives. Okay. So this is the card of thanks that the family put out in the newspaper for people to see. We would like to express our sincere thanks and appreciation to our many relatives, friends, and neighbors for the kindness and sympathy shown to us during our darkest hours following the loss of our dearly beloved daughter, Jennifer Sue Delgado. We wish to thank everyone who sent food and those who helped to serve it, those who sent flowers and cards, those who telephoned, those who donated money to Jennifer's trust funds, Bill Peters of Hearn Peters Funeral Home for being so very helpful, and Father John Van Laer for the words of comfort said during the Mass. May God bless each and every one of you, Rogelio and Melita Delgado, Mr. and Mrs. Ernesto Galvan Sr., and family. And this, I think, is, first of all, she looks like my little baby cousin. Like, exactly. And a part of me is like, are you guys related to the Sanchez's? Because this is crazy how much she looks like my baby cousin when he was little. But look at that little dress. Look at that little bow. Precious little angel. I'm so fucking pissed every time I think of this case that there is a little fucking short little shithead dude running around out in the world that could have done something like this, and that it's still a cold case. There are so many unique factors we're going to talk about in a little bit that I think can actually help solve it. Jennifer Sue Delgado of San Antonio went home to heaven on June 6th, 1988 at the tender age of 8 years old. You are going to see a lot of reports that she was 7. She was not 7. She was 8 years old, just for clarification. I think even the San Antonio cold case website had her listed as 7 for a while. She was 8. Jennifer was born August 24th, 1979 in San Antonio, Texas, and was going to be a 4th grade teacher at Westwood Terrace Elementary School in San Antonio. She had a very specific dream and she was ready for it. And I love that for her. Jennifer was an honor student at her school and a child that everyone liked. Now, when I tell you everyone loved Jennifer, all of her classmates, when they talk about her to this day, they're like, she always wore the red dress. If you guys grew up, let me make this big. If you guys grew up in the South Texas area, you damn well know we all had a dress like this. Every single one of us had a dress like this. I had a dress like this. Mine was pink and I had a white one. These are classic culturas garb. This is what you wear when you go to fiesta. You put flowers in your hair and you have a great fucking time. Okay. You had one, didn't you, Clam? Everyone in Texas had this dress in the 80s. This was the ultimate. This is we're going to Texas Folklife Festival. Tiff Knox has one. This is something, if you go across the border to Nuevo Laredo, this dress, the dolls with this dress and the hair flowers, 100% you got one, okay? To this day, you can buy this dress at La Fiesta for under $10. These dresses are so comfortable. They are so freaking cute. And damn right, everyone, you had the dress or you had this dress and the doll, or you had the doll or you had both and you matched it, okay? I even had a Cabbage Patch doll with a matching dress. Yeah, this is so South, it's crazy. It is not a lot of Northerners know about this dress, but it is so comfortable. Ponytail on the side of the head and everything. And all the dolls were handmade, right? You could get them for $2 to $3 across the border. I had a Barbie with this freaking dress. And yes, this dress had pockets. Absolutely. Sometimes you had a front pocket and it ruled, okay? It fucking ruled. You had the side ponytail or you had the hair down. South Side, absolutely. And I even hung out on Military Drive. We all had those dresses, okay? You could go down to Brownsville and get one for $4 from Los Cuatro Reyes, right? And that's where you got your Levi jeans real cheap too. So this is a very well-known dress. This is the dress of a young Catholic child. Let's just say that. I had the dress. We all had the dress. So cute. What a cute little angel. It goes on to say who she is survived by. She was an honor student, but if you talk to all of her friends, they will all tell you what I remember the most about her was the red dress. She absolutely loved this thing. She wore it all the time. People knew her for it. Okay. This is the most heartbreaking picture I've ever seen in my life. It makes me so sad. Look at how much her mother looked like her. Look at how much she looked like her. I mean, I know you can only see the side and the pain in the dad's eyes. He had his funeral garb on. He had the hat. You take it off when the priest is up there. He's staring into the distance while her mother hugs her in grief. This is absolutely one of the most heartbreaking pictures I've ever seen. You can imagine how helpless this woman must have felt, alone in a laundromat with her tiny baby girl screaming at her to protect her. This is a hard picture to look at. So when people who I have heard only once or twice, but they caught these hands and they probably never said that shit again. Two people have brought up, well, why weren't the parents on the news more? Okay. You think, does this look like the type of people who are like obsessed with going on the media? No. They're going through some shit right now. Let them be. This is the picture we all saw in the paper and on the news. God, this broke my heart. But the reason I'm showing it to you is look at how much she looks like her daughter. I still maintain her daughter lives on through her and her siblings. So now let's talk about shitbird scumbag fuckface, shall we? All right, let's shift gears into who's this motherfucker. Okay? Now I'm getting angry. 17 to 18 years old. Now you can say early 20s if you like. This is the exact description the mother gave. 5'2" to 5'4". White and slender. I'm going to go ahead and put out another statement right now. Might be a little controversial. I already know what some people have to be thinking because everybody thinks is, yeah, no eye color, Tiff Knox. We don't know. We have no idea. But I'm going to put this out there because I know I've seen it online. When the few amount of times I've seen this case pop up on Reddit or any forum, I've seen it. It's not fucking Israel Keys, okay? Everything can't be Israel Keys. All right? He was not there. He did not live on the west side. I don't care if he was at Fort Hood in the 90s. This is not Israel Keys, okay? He didn't do it. That wasn't him. Yes, it looks like him. Not him, okay? Impossible. He was not there at the time. So just get that, take that thought, fucking purge it. Gone, bye. Impossible. And by that, I mean actually impossible. He was proven not to, he was not in San Antonio at that time. He was not the right age range. It is not Israel Keys. Okay? So get that out of your fucking head right now. Yes, he would be about 50 to 60 years old right now. So I think that this person would still be alive. Slender, around 130 pounds, clean shaven, blue jeans, white and blue Hawaiian shirt, flowered white and blue Hawaiian shirt, shoulder length, dark, wavy hair. Okay? Shoulder length, dark, wavy hair. Yes, he would have been 10 years old. Impossible. Impossible. So, with that said, let's talk a little bit because I have some notes about, or we'll do that at the end. We're going to talk about what can be done because I do have notes on what can be done, but I also want to go through and read some of your comments when we do that part. Okay. So what we're going to do in a second, let me show you the last two, and then we're going to look at some of, and these are some blown up pictures here. Let me make this full screen. And then we're going to look at some news article or some news casts about it, some TV news about it. Okay. So these are the two pictures. I would say the major differences on these two. The eyes are a little further apart in this one. And the nose. The nose looks broken in the left one. Not sure if this is a butt chin or a shadow. What's going on here? Lack of butt chin here. Doesn't really matter. Looks very much alike. Very much alike. You're going to see different stuff that says long hair. Okay. It was shoulder length, according to the mom. But at the time, that was considered kind of long to some people. All right. I am going to put pictures up of this, and then there's nothing. And then this is the point where we're done. Okay. So we're done with the slideshow. All right. We got through it. And I read my thing and we got through it. And I didn't check the chat, but I'll see who was inappropriate and you'll get pop-ups. All right. I think you guys all did very good, though. Thank you for bearing with me on that. I know it's hard to hear. I know it's really sad. There was a moment there where I'm like, ugh, but it's a hard case to talk about This is an 8-year-old child, and she is the cutest little sweetest baby angel you've ever seen in your life. And to hear that anybody laid a finger on her, let alone slashed her stomach, is just horrific to think about or to talk about. But I do think it's extremely important that people understand how far this person went over so little. This is a person, in my opinion, and now I'm going to give my opinion. This is a person with some sort of rage issue that, without a doubt, and this is not an excuse, but without a doubt has mental health problems. Okay. That doesn't excuse anything they did. It doesn't place blame on it. I think it's obvious. Anybody who would do something like that, like what he did to a little girl, let alone anyone else on earth, has mental health problems. There is something fucking wrong with them. So I'm willing to bet that whoever did this, the guy that we saw the picture of, that we saw the mugshots for, I'm willing to bet that this is a kid that either didn't finish high school, or he did finish high school and he had severe mental problems. Likely would have gone into an institution at one point or another, or after that, or jail. Someone who would flip out over coins to a point where they would do something like that to a child, without a doubt, experienced worse things in life eventually, because everyone has, than losing 50 cents. And how did they respond in those instances? So when I think about this person who did this, I wonder who's going to recognize them. It's probably going to be someone who met them in jail, in a mental institution, at some sort of juvenile facility. Who knows? But the height is what's so unique. And yes, Tiff, explosive anger issues. And yes, tombstones, maybe already in jail, maybe dead. But in the case that they're not, or even if they are, knowing who did it, very important. What do the police have? They dusted the entire machine. Okay. They dusted the coins in it. They have his fingerprint. As of, according to a news article from almost 20 years ago, they had no leads. But what about now? It's considered a cold case, but is it active? It seems that it is an inactive cold case. Let's make it active. How do we do that? How do we run fingerprints again? If there's a fingerprint, is there DNA? Now, keep in mind, this was 6 years before the OJ case, before DNA was ever presented in a court of law in the fashion that we know. I mean, I wouldn't even say today, it's gone beyond that, but in the fashion that we know in modern times, if you will. Did they preserve the DNA? I couldn't get that answer, but I know they have a fingerprint. I know they swabbed for it. Now, not only has the laundromat been shut down, I mean, the entire area is totally different now. There's like a Via bus station across the street, and it's an empty lot where they used to live, okay? You can't even go on Google Maps 2007 and see pictures of it. In fact, the only pictures or video of this laundromat that I could find at all are going to be in what you're about to watch, okay? So I'm going to show you these news reports, and then we'll talk about what can be done, and I'll answer any questions you have about this case, and I'll hear out your thoughts, what you think can be done, etc. All right? Here we go. And as these play, I'll be chatting with you guys and going through the chat and pulling questions that I think are things we can go over that I can possibly help you out with. Here we go.
Well, there is new hope for an old murder case. 34 years ago, an 8-year-old girl was brutally murdered on the South Side while helping her mother do laundry. The murder of Jennifer Sue Delgado has gone unsolved all these years, and police have exhausted all leads. But tonight, there is renewed hope in the case as the state is now stepping in to help investigate. KENS 5 reporter Zach Briggs joins us live to explain. Zach?
Well, I'm standing across the street from what used to be the laundromat where Jennifer was killed more than 30 years ago. Chris Palmer, one of her friends and good classmates, is responsible for installing this memorial signage in partnership with the city of San Antonio this June. And now with the Texas Attorney General's office getting involved in being instrumental in this case, Palmer tells me that he is a lot more hopeful that this case will be solved. Chris Palmer is always thinking about his elementary classmate, Jennifer Sue Delgado.
As the years go by, it's been so long, it's hard to remember the sound of her voice. I'm so glad we have, our class pictures. I've got a little Valentine card that she gave me that I still keep here nearby.
Those positive memories have driven Palmer to make sure Jennifer's story stays in the spotlight. In April, Palmer contacted the Texas Attorney General Office's Cold Case and Missing Persons Unit, which began reviewing cases statewide last year.
It was created to help local law enforcement agencies across Texas with their cold case investigations. So they assist from, anything involving homicides, missing persons, or human identification.
Police are mainly working off a sketch of the suspect who's never been identified. He's the man who randomly stabbed Jennifer and her mother, who survived.
Okay, let's go back a little. So you're going to see a little more footage like this in a minute. But this is the only picture, and it's not even a picture, it's a video that exists online of that laundromat at all, let alone at that time. I am going to be pulling stills from it, trying to clean them up, and trying to get those online for others to see. Now, do you see those chairs right there? Okay. In another angle, well, actually, you could see there's some here and there's some here. I believe the soda machine was over here to the left, I think, and there were some chairs here. It seems like one of these, I believe the chairs that would be in front of this officer facing toward the machines, because you could see the pile of laundry right there. The mom was taking them out of the washer at the time and was going to take them over to these dryers. I believe that she was right by this door, and Jennifer jumped up to run this way and he caught her. So this is how old we're talking. And again, I have yet to find any photos whatsoever to get an idea of the layout other than the stills that we have from these news stories. So let's continue.
Dottie Lassiter, a longtime advocate of helping families.
Dottie Lassiter, know her. She used to run the Heidi Search Center. That case was a few years out. It was 2 years later. Okay. And Dottie went on to take the search center over from my friend Vanessa, which is interesting. Dottie, Vanessa, and a couple of other people you'll see in a lot of these early 90s cold cases that we're going to be talking about. This bitch is on it. Okay.
These find missing loved ones, says there's still hope in solving this decades-old homicide.
I believe everyone did their best back in the 80s when this happened, but we also lived in a different time. We probably didn't even know about collecting for DNA. There's really wonderful people that don't give up and keep trying to find that little piece of information.
And Chris Palmer started the Jennifer Memorial Delgado Foundation, which is a website dedicated to bringing further awareness to her case. And SAPD, again, they've exhausted all leads in this particular cold case. But do you happen to know anything that could help them in solving?
And if you think I did not speak to my SAPD contacts and drill them to find out who the three suspects were, who are these three suspects? Give me their names. Tell me anything. Fuck no, they're not going to tell me shit. Let's keep going.
Solving this murder from more than 30 years ago, you are urged to call police. For now, we're live on the South Side. Zach Briggs, KENS 5.
Thank you, Zach.
Okay. Here is the part. Chris Moreau, dude. Chris Moreau. I have an affinity for these news people. I don't know why. I really like them. So this is all the news. This is every news coverage story from 88 to 2001. It totals 5 minutes and 42 seconds. think about that. Think about every cold case, everything on TikTok, everything you see nowadays on a case. Now imagine something this brutal happening. Do you think it would get 5 minutes of coverage? No. It would get a Dateline. It would get all kinds of shit. Okay. It would get a Netflix special. So I think that this is important to do. One of the reasons we go back to cold cases, and I'm so fond of going back to cold cases, is because if we had what we have at our capability, if we had the social, the collective, if you will, the social pushing of these cases, the social media, the social awareness that we have today, if we had that back then, imagine what could be done. And these cases from the 70s or 80s, people go, oh, they're probably dead now. Who was it earlier? One of you guys said 50 to 60 years old, right? That's not dead. Are you kidding me? We can still solve this. Like, this is still possible. But 5 minutes and 42 seconds, I think we can do better than that. I think we can.
Next on Ken's 5 Eyewitness News at 10. It was a murder that not only shocked San Antonio, but it scared us. Now 13.
Pausing it again to go back a little. I want you to see that. So this is another angle, one of the few that we have. See the closer over here. They're facing this way, coming out. We see the dryers back there, washers. We see a little cart. It's very, again, almost impossible to find this kind of stuff.
San Antonio, but it scared us. Now 13 years later, it's still a mystery. Tonight, a slain little girl remembered. It's a chance for San Antonio high school kids to flex their muscle cars and hopefully avoid a tragedy. And a bullfighter had better pick on someone his own size next time.
By the way, that bullfighter story, my grandpa had a poster from that, and goddamn, that was a big deal. That guy got gutted out his ass. Anyway, agreed, but look at the guy who killed Emily Garcia. You know, he was in a gang and on drugs, and they just indicted him or put him in jail after 30 years. They let him out on bail, but they got him, right? And he was a teen. I find that very interesting. It's possible.
San Antonio's news leader. This is Ken's 5 Eyewitness News at 10. Coverage you can count on.
Good evening. Let's take a look at those lotto numbers. $16 million worth tonight. 33, 52, 43, 49, 40, and 32. Nothing under 30. Pick 3, 7, 0, and 5. In the news, a 13-year-old murder mystery has come to life again as friends of Jennifer Delgado gathered to remember a life cut short. Itzi Gutierrez explains.
Jennifer. 13 years after the death of Jennifer Delgado, a small group gathers to remember a friend who was stripped away in elementary school. And the childhood memories are still fresh.
Sleepovers, playing hide and seek, every, thing first graders do. Talking about ghost stories, just being kids.
Those innocent moments ended on June 6, 1988.
Let's take one more look here. And also, to be fair, this was until 2001. You're right. There have been a few news pieces since on the anniversaries, but they're like less than 30 seconds and they're just replaying the same footage. But let's take a look at this real quick. I want to get to, okay, you see that? This thing right here, this has bothered me for years. For years. I'm like, what is that thing? What the hell is that thing? It still bothers me. Okay, so the bathroom. Great question. I think the bathroom was in the back right. I think. So I think he walked in, went back here, came back here, walked all the way to the front, past them, soda machine here on the inside. See? So I think this is the bathroom because you can see back here, it goes into that. There's the coin machine. And then you can go where you can like put $1 in and get quarters. And then you could go to the right. And I believe there was a a bathroom, because back here, this little thing right here is a sign. I saw a small angle in a newspaper article that I really regret not fucking clipping, and I'm gonna go find it again. I have to go back to the library in San Antonio to find that one. But it looked like there was a possible like office only door right here. So I think the bathroom was back there. So he walks in, right? He goes back here, he goes over there, he takes a picture or whatever he did in there. He walks out, he comes up to the front, all right? Their clothes and stuff are right there. He walks past them in between. She's sitting here, mom there, goes to the soda machine, goes nuts on it, turn around, attacks them, and then leaves.
Was helping her mother wash clothes at a laundromat near their home. They told police a man walked in to buy a soda.
See? So you can see the soda machine there. All right. And see how this is open? It's still got clothes in it. So the mom is right here. Okay. Now here's the thing. From one angle on one picture, I thought I saw there were 2 chairs right here on this side, but it would have been basically there would have been like 2 chairs and then the door. But I only saw sets of what looked like 4 chairs. So I wonder if she was really sitting on the ones on the other side of the door. But that kind of wouldn't make any sense for him to grab her or be able to. So I think right where the black part of the screen is here, let me take down Clam's comment. Sorry, Clam. But right here, there's like one more panel. And I think that there's some chairs and then there's the exit door. Okay. Yeah, there's a couple of high schools in that area, I believe. So if you keep going, I need to look because I can't remember. It's not McCallum. There's John Jay down the road a ways. I can't remember off the top of my head, but I know all the high schools actually in San Antonio. Not bragging or anything, but we played a bunch of them, especially like South Side, South San, and all that. Southwest Mall, that whole area. It's probably going to be. I'm trying to remember the exact one. Is it Marshall? I have to look. If I look, I can tell you which ones. I have to look at a map.
When the machine didn't produce a can.
Okay. So it is a 50-cent soda. All right. He put 50 cents in. Soda didn't come out. He starts punching it. Now I'm wondering if he pushed down on this, could they lift any fingerprints there? Right. He didn't get his change back. He flipped out. I also wonder because when you push a coin in, your finger might touch here. As you can see, it's well worn. But they took out all the change and they were able to dust everything, including the outside of the machine. So they have something. They have something.
He got angry, pulled out a knife, and stabbed.
See? So this is what it looked like. Runs out across the street to get home.
Jennifer and her mother in the stomach. At the time, police say this suspect fled the scene in a vehicle that had a driver in.
So I don't know if they fingerprinted the bathroom. I have no idea. They wouldn't tell me. They just said that they had the prints from the machine. You know what? You jumped ahead so much, but I'm glad you did. That was going to be something we talk about. When I tell you, I went through so many yearbooks and I had to take a moment because they headed west, right? But let's be honest, this person could be from Floresville. They could be from Cotulla, Leon Valley. They could be from Poteet, Pleasanton. They could be from Jourdanton. They could be from the south side, the north side. They could be from anywhere. Okay. They could, and the chances of committing a crime like that in your own neighborhood, I mean, pretty low, but it's a teen, so they're pretty dumb. I mean, naturally, all teens are dumb. They all have bird brains. So I think that this is going to be, and one of the reasons I bring it to you kids is because I know how nosy you are. Tombstones, I know how you love shit like this. I think that we could separate, give everyone a yearbook from all over the city and the outskirts. Not only pour through, I would even not even focus so much on the seniors. That's what I was focusing on for so long. But if you go 1985, okay, and you start looking through the freshmen and then the sophomores and the juniors, because this is the type of kid, if he's stabbing someone, acting a fool, He might have already been out of high school, or he might have been skipping school, or he could have been in juvie and not had a fucking yearbook. But can we find him maybe 2 or 3 years before he fucked up and became a little shit? Maybe. Here's another thing. It's June, right? So it's the summer. But some of the schools let out late, and if you were bad, you had to go to summer school. And they said that school was just ending for some of them. So if it was the last week of school, what's something that you remember if you went to high school in Texas? Do you guys remember what the last week of school was? For my school, there was a theme the last week. In my high school, there was, what did we have? We had like a military day where everyone wore camo. We had Hawaiian Day where everybody wore like luau Hawaiian shit. Spirit Day, you wore your school stuff. But the last week of school for us historically was, that's when you dress up according to some weird theme. We even had a day where all the boys dressed like girls and girls dressed like boys, and it was fine. No one got mad. All the men had fake tip balloons. And there is a skip day. That is true hypocritical. So I wonder, had this guy had a Hawaiian shirt day at his school? And at one point, I started looking for the Hawaiian shirt and island and luau days at every single high school within, 2 years, because I'm like, maybe we can find a guy in that shirt. I also went and looked through every single white and blue Hawaiian shirt that was available to purchase in 1988, and there are a lot of them. Yeah, we called it Spirit Week too. But we had the Spirit Week, and then we had the end of the year one, and we even had another one. I think it was Homecoming. But yeah, I also do think his nose could have been broken in his youth. Not because of this picture, but because of the one from the 13-year-old. And because the 13-year-old was likely, I mean, not likely, like they were not going through the tragic event that the mother was. The mother might remember that tragic event burned in her memory because it's the worst thing that ever happened to her. But some people dissociate or block it out. You are going to find out, or I think I already read it to you, they did use a hypnotist on Melita. So that tells me that she likely had some trouble remembering. The second sketch that featured the broken nose, I believe, was from the 13-year-old. So that they probably got a better view of him, especially because he's running out. They saw him get into the vehicle. So I kind of want to do this, but I don't want to fuck anything up for anyone. But I do want to switch out the noses just to see, does it now resemble someone totally different? Just because I do think like that break in the nose, that's very obvious. For someone to point that out tells me that that's likely a feature that they paid special attention to, or that was maybe like, oh, that's pretty weird. So I would say take the broken nose out, try it on this face, and let's see how it looks, right? Okay, let's keep going.
Inside waiting. Meantime, Jennifer and her mother ran for their lives.
Jennifer wasn't front running. She was grabbing her waist.
Those innocent moments ended on June 6, 19.
I also remembered this, and I wanted to point it out. Do you see where his camera is taking a picture? So that can tell you right there, that is where the mom and her were standing. That is where they got stabbed, is where he is taking that picture towards.
Yes.
Those innocent moments ended on June 6, 1988. Jennifer was helping her mother wash clothes at a laundromat near their home. They told police a man walked in to buy a soda. When the machine didn't produce a can, he got angry, pulled out a knife, and stabbed Jennifer and her mother in the stomach. At the time, police say this suspect fled the scene in a vehicle that had a driver inside waiting. Meantime, Jennifer and her mother ran for their lives.
Jennifer wasn't front running. She was grabbing her waist on her side, and her mother was the same. And the girl made it all the way over here to the tree. That's where she fell down.
Jennifer died that day, leaving behind a grieving family.
It happened, I was 6. I didn't really understand it. But now I know what exactly happened. And it hurts more now.
The murder case is old, but police say it has not been forgotten. And because there is no statute of limitations on murder, if the suspect is found, he can be sent to prison.
We're not going to forget, and we're going to be looking for the suspect who did this and hopefully seek some justice for the victim.
Also, this is a great question. It does seem like coastal fashion, but believe it or not, Hawaiian shirts in Texas are a big deal. Yeah, they're button-up shirts. People love wearing them. It's like Do you remember in the early 2000s when the same white floral print over blue and red was everywhere? I think it was because Kelly Clarkson made a beach movie or something. But that fashion, that specific type, that was some shit. Everybody had a Hawaiian shirt. You either had it for Hawaiian Shirt Day or you just had it for summer or to golf. Yeah, absolutely. Like everyone had a Hawaiian shirt. I don't know why. We don't have beaches here. The ones we do have suck. They're like way down in Galveston and Corpus, and they're fucking covered in jellyfish and seashells. Yeah, just like that. Like the hibiscus ones. Like, and we also had the ones where it has this Hawaii skyline. But the ones that I'm talking about are like, remember it was red and blue with a white, like hibiscus flower print over it. I think that's the kind they're talking about.
And the mother.
You are sad for a time, but I shall see you again, and then your hearts will rejoice with a joy that no one can take from you.
And with their faith, the group says they will keep at least the memory of their friend alive. Isa Gutierrez, KENS 5, Eyewitness News.
If you have any information regarding this unsolved murder case, again, it happened 13 years ago today. You can call SAPD's Homicide Department or Crime Stoppers at the number there on your screen. Candles were lit at another vigil tonight for another little girl who didn't get a chance to grow up.
She is sad that her time has come.
Also on the west side, former classmates gathered to remember an 8-year-old girl who was killed back in June of 1988. That's 13 years ago. They say they were too young to really understand and pay the respects when Jennifer Delgado was stabbed to death in what was then a laundromat on that corner. Now it's a bank. Well, her killer has never been caught. So they lit candles to remember Jennifer and pray for justice, that some tip someday will lead police finally to her killer.
May have been the floor. That's all the way she made it. And I saw him first hollering and screaming outside. So I said, "What happened?"
So this woman, this is, I think, the only interview I've seen her in. I don't think she's the same woman from the other interview. I believe they do quote her in the newspaper, if I remember correctly. First of all, yes, that's what I was going to bring up. So as you can see, she still has the blood on her dress from trying to help them. I think she might be the one, I believe, who grabbed the towels to help and went to go get the dad for them. I mean, that's how quick News 4 KMOL was on the fucking scene. My mom used to have this exact dress in yellow. And that's what struck me when I saw this. I was like, oh God, like this is wild. But yeah, she does still have blood on her dress. Actually, you guys can't see it right now because I have the comments up. Let me hide this. There you go. This is like, I feel horrible for this woman, and this whole situation is so fucked up. But yeah, I do believe she's one of the ones who helped.
Finally to her killer.
May have been the floor. That's all the way she made it. And I saw him first hollering and screaming outside. So I said, "What happened?" She told me to come to her husband. So I called her husband, and she saw him that both of them were bleeding from his stomach.
Okay, so this is right after the sketch artist finished sketching. Because I called and I said, "Do you guys have one where his head isn't cut off? Like, because the top part was always missing," and they couldn't find one. And then I looked on the news, and this seems to be the only picture that doesn't have the top of his head cut off. Yeah, 50 cents for a can of soda in 1988. Crazy, huh? That's the same price as an Icy at 7-Eleven. I don't remember why I knew that. See this, where his head's cut off? This is the one that everybody has a still of. Okay. So this is, remember I told you there was one with a weird angle? So the one I have is from a newspaper, and it's his exact shot, but it's black and white. And it's really hard to see. But you can see here, I believe, is another machine facing that way to the right. And then there's a sign in front of it. And I think that machine is a coin machine. And there's one there in the back. Now, see in the back there was an office door. And I believe the bathroom is to the back right by the other coin machine. Then you have the vending machine here. I believe there's some seats facing this way there. There's the seats there and there. And then over here behind this machine is where her mom was doing laundry.
It's a useless, needless waste. Child had every place in the world to go as far as her educational background was concerned, her educational.
So this, I think he's the owner. And you can see there's that office door that's opened. I believe this is the back left.
Potential.
There it is. There it is. There you go. See, I told you guys how there's chairs facing that way. This is the chair I believe she was sitting in, and I think there's some blood right there. Just a heads up. So I do believe she was sitting right there next to the door. Mom's right here doing laundry. She's about to carry it over there to go to the dryer. He turns around, he lunges at them. He goes to the mom. She jumps up. He gets her, and then he has an easy, quick exit out. Yeah, we can go back. We'll go back. By the way, I hope this isn't inappropriate, but this leaf shaking, the first time I saw this, I thought it was somebody doing like a Fredrickson, like wiggling, and then I realized, no, that's a leaf. Like, what the hell? And I didn't know about Fredrickson. I just thought it was someone wiggling their tush. I was like, inappropriate. And then I looked closer and was like, oh, that's a leaf. Here we go.
Lead police finally to her killer.
On the floor. That's all the way she made it. And I saw him first holler.
This is kind of hard to hear her. I wish I could turn it up more. Hold on. I'm probably going to have to actually slow her down a little bit because she's talking very fast. Oops. So let me just do that. Sorry, but I just want to make sure.
Lead police finally to her killer.
On the floor. That's all the way she made it. And I saw him first hollering and screaming outside. So I said, what happened?
She said something about she hadn't heard she made it. At first, I heard a hollering outside, and then I saw her, and she told me to call her husband.
Her husband, and she saw that both of them were bleeding from the stomach.
And he saw that both of them were bleeding. Okay, let's go back. That's a good idea. Let's try the closed caption. It is really hard to hear. I have it turned up full blast into my headphones, and I still can't hear it well. But I believe she was quoted in a newspaper, the one that I was talking about with the picture, because it sounds similar to what was said. That's why I think she's the one who wraps the towel around them, because part of what she said when she says she told me to call her husband, that quote is in a newspaper article. So I think that's what they were quoting. Let's go here.
For justice that some tip someday will lead police finally to her killer.
On the floor. That's all the way she made it. And I saw him first hollering and screaming outside. So I said, what happened?
Yeah, as I'm first hollering, they're screaming outside when it first happened. And yeah, they fuck it up a little bit, but like Nathan the Killing, I thought militia made it. That makes no sense.
And I saw him first hollering
as
and
I'm
screaming
first
outside.
hollering.
So I said, what happened? She told me to call her husband. So I called her husband, and she saw them both.
As I first heard them hollering, I saw them, and she asked me to tell her to call her husband. Okay. And she had been attacked, bleeding. She was bleeding from the stomach. I don't believe the mom remembers if he was left or right-handed. But she said in one quote, let me go find it for you, but I do believe that she said where he stabbed her, like which side.
It's a useless, needless waste. Child had every place in the world to go as far as her educational background was concerned, her educational potential.
There was also that Tom's vending machine on the left too. So there's a Tom's vending machine. That's what that is. There it is. And then you see the chairs. Now, I do believe the car he escaped in, just based on some of the descriptions, I do believe that the vehicle was facing outward, pointing towards across the street, because otherwise I'm not sure how the 13-year-old would have seen him or his face. So I do believe the car had come in, turned around here, parked facing us, but out towards the street, and then the guy ran out and got in. Look at how even in the 1980s, by the way, check this out again. Let's go back to her because I want to see the inside one more time, but also look at how they handle the crime scene, how they're measuring things and they're running prints on everything. Goddamn, Canton could have learned from 1988 San Antonio.
Lead police finally to her killer.
Laying on the floor, that's all the way she made it. And I saw him first hollering and screaming outside, so I said, what happened? She told me to.
You know what? That's a good point. But I do wonder, here's the thing, he took it out on a little girl, though. And that's the part where I'm like, this is a psycho. This is somebody who definitely had mental health issues, but I agree. And that type of rage seems extremely immature, too.
I called her husband, so I called her husband, and she saw that both of them were bleeding from the stomach.
Totally could have been on drugs. Could have also been, I mean, it seems like he raged out of nowhere too, huh? I feel like if he went in there though with the intention to kill someone, I hope this makes sense. I feel like if he went in there with the intention to kill someone, he wouldn't have put his quarters in the machine at all and then raged on it. You know what I mean? And he wouldn't have gone to the bathroom and then come back out. I think he went to the bathroom. I wonder if he went to the bathroom, snorted some drugs maybe, or did something, came out, raged on the machine, turned around, and then went nuts on them over that. I don't think it was premeditated, just my personal opinion, because of what happened prior. I hope that makes sense. Yeah, same. I think so too.
It's a useless, needless waste. Child had every place in the world to go as far as her educational background was concerned, her educational potential.
Okay, and that is probably the best clear shot of that second one that you're ever going to see. I think Darlene was onto something. I wonder if maybe that's a scar. I definitely think the nose being so crooked is very prominent, especially for someone who sketches. I do think that maybe replacing this on the other picture could be a good idea. At the same time, I want to tell you, you're about to see all the news stories that I could find after 1988 to 2001's collection. I'm talking every single one I could find. Some of them are going to be repetitive, but in the off chance there is anything extra we can glean from them, I want to watch a couple of them. But I am going to put this playlist public with a link under this video so that you can go through and rewatch them and just have them in your pocket in case you do want to do any research onto this case so that they're all in one spot. One of you guys said the thing, who said that this one? I have a list of crimes that I could find that happened that night. San Antonio, it's a strange situation with how they logged everything, but they do have. So here's what San Antonio does, and it's a good thing. It's a good thing. It sounds tedious, but it's a good thing. If you call into the police in San Antonio for any reason whatsoever, whether it's a false alarm or you change your mind or it's not even an emergency, if there are any calls regarding you as a person, your address, your vehicle, every single call that goes into 911, regardless of the outcome, who did it, what it's about, it gets logged. It always gets logged. Not all police departments, I believe, do that. Because there have been some other cases I've looked at. Let's give an example in Laredo and one in Corpus, where somebody calls about one of them, someone called about a domestic violence incident. It was not logged anywhere. They had no existence of this call, but the person who made the call did have it on their phone. Like, look, I had a 20-minute conversation with 911. In San Antonio, if you call and say, my neighbor's swinging a bat at me, and then you call back and say it was just a prank, right? But they already put your neighbor's name and address in the system. They don't take it back out. That stays in there. Okay. Now, it doesn't pop up and say this person did something reckless with a bat. It never does that. But if you look that person's name or address up, they have a log of someone calling about that. So they have extremely in-depth records. Whether they will give them to you is another story. And are they all digitized? The answer is no. So it's complicated sometimes to find. But one thing that we can be grateful for is Hayes County, Bexar County, even Williamson, a couple of different counties at the time in Central and South Texas, right? They not only have a thing called a police blotter, but the smaller the town, the bigger the blotter. Let me tell you. What is a police blotter? It is an incident report. And until 1995, so many incidents ended up in the public newspaper. So the San Antonio Light became defunct literally this year, 1988. It may have stretched out to 91, but not really. It was kind of fading fast. San Antonio Express News took over, right? And they have their own separate archive. So there's multiple archives, and then there was the I don't even know how to pronounce it right. The Herald Zitgung or some shit, Zitgang. It's like the German name for the newspaper in New Braunfels. There's all these different newspapers that if there was a 911 call, it would get printed in the newspaper. So back in the 80s and early 90s, you can see almost every police call in a bunch of newspapers all over the country. I found a couple of blotters from that night, and I'm still going through them, but I do think that that is a good idea. Simultaneously, the map, you can see what direction 90 heads out to, and it makes you go, I wonder if they live that way, or wherever they were going was that way, right? But one thing about San Antonio that does suck in a way for situations like this is the existence of 410 and 1604. What is that? 410 is a loop. It is the inner loop that goes all the way around the city. 1604 is a mile or two beyond that. And then it's another loop that goes all the way around the city. I believe it's 2 to 3 hours to get all the way around 410 and something like 4 to 6 to get all the way around 1604. So imagine your city just has two big circles drawn around it, a smaller one around Central and then a bigger one. Those are the two main highways. So if you are going up 90 or 35 or 87, you're going to hit one of those loops, and then you could go either direction all the way around if you want. So even though we know they're going west, there is a chance he could have hopped on one of those loops, gone either direction, and ended up anywhere in the city or outside of it. Darlene, do not be sorry. That is a great question. I think two were involved. I think whoever the driver was, and then this guy. I believe them. I do think that the witnesses are spot on, especially because you have one who was there and was stabbed and saw her daughter stabbed. I trust her, but also there's a second to back it up. And because they match so closely, those two sketches, holy shit, I have no doubt that this motherfucker is the guy and that they saw what they saw. But they both reported that there was a second person driving, which means that tells me they both saw him get into the passenger seat. Let's continue.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to the first episode of Heart Profit. My name is Christopher Palmer. I'm the executive director of the Jennifer Sue Delgado Memorial Foundation.
Okay, we're not going to watch this entire thing, but I am putting this in the playlist. We're going to move on from this one. But this is her friend, her classmate, her Valentine, and this is the organization that he made for her. And I'm just going to let all of these news stories play through. This one is for something totally different, but I wanted you to see Christopher now because this is the most recent video of him.
3 decades of no justice for a little girl killed here on the South Side.
She meant so much to so many people.
Tonight, why there's renewed hope in solving this cold case.
Ken's 5 News at 10 starts right now. Well, there is new hope for an old murder case. 34 years ago, an 8-year-old girl was brutally murdered on the South Side while helping her mother do laundry. The murder of Jennifer Sue Delgado has gone unsolved all these years, and police have exhausted all leads. But tonight, there is renewed hope in the case as the state is now stepping in to help investigate. KENS 5 reporter Zach Briggs joins us live to explain. Zach?
Well, I'm standing across the street from what used to be the laundromat where Jennifer was killed more than 30 years ago. Chris Palmer, one of her friends and good classmates, is responsible for installing this memorial signage in partnership with the city of San Antonio this June. And now with the Texas Attorney General's office getting involved in being instrumental in this case, Palmer tells me that he is a lot more hopeful that this case will be solved. Chris Palmer's always thinking about his elementary classmate, Jennifer Sue Delgado.
As the years go by, it's been so long, it's hard to remember the sound of her voice. You know, I'm so glad we have, our class pictures. I've got a little Valentine card that she gave me that I still keep here nearby.
Those positive memories have driven Palmer to make sure Jennifer's story stays in the spotlight. In April, Palmer contacted the Texas Attorney General Office's Cold Case and Missing Persons Unit, which began reviewing cases statewide last year.
It was created to help local law enforcement agencies across Texas with their cold case investigations. So they assist from, anything involving homicides, missing persons, or human identification.
Police are mainly working off a sketch of the suspect who's never been identified. He's the man who randomly stabbed Jennifer and her mother, who survived. Dottie Laster, a longtime advocate of helping families find missing loved ones, says there's still hope in solving this decades-old homicide.
I believe everyone did their best back in the 80s when this happened, but we also lived in a different time. We probably didn't even know about collecting for DNA. There's really wonderful people that don't give up and keep trying to find that little piece of information.
And Chris Palmer started the Jennifer Memorial Delgado Foundation, which is a website dedicated to bringing further awareness to her case. And SAPD, again, they've exhausted all leads in this particular cold case. But do you happen to know anything that could help them in solving this murder from more than 30 years ago? You are urged to call police. For now, we're live on the South Side. Zach Briggs, KENS 5.
I want to encourage San Antonians to support the nonprofit that is at work trying to provide closure in the case of Jennifer Sue Delgado, who was murdered some years ago. There's a nonprofit that's been created to try to keep the investigation going in order to find some measure of justice in this case. Jennifer Sue Delgado, we will never forget.
And today marks 34 years since Jennifer Sue Delgado was killed at a laundromat on San Antonio's South Side. And one of the 8-year-old girl's classmates has been doing everything he can to keep her story alive. KENS 5's Zach Briggs shows us how.
Through the decades, Chris Palmer's memories of his second-grade classmate, Jennifer Sue Delgado, have faded.
I can't even remember the sound of her voice, but I remember through class pictures, you know, this little Mexican-style dress that she wore. I just remember her being this quiet, you know, sweet little girl.
He also remembers June 7th, 1988, a day after Delgado was stabbed to death at a laundromat across the street from her home.
I didn't know what to think. I knew she was gone, but at age 8, I didn't realize that this is it. Her life is over. She's not going to grow up.
The senseless murder of this innocent 8-year-old girl has remained a cold case for the past 34 years.
I still can't understand today how someone can do that, you know, to an adult, but much less how can they even do this to an innocent child. There we go.
Palmer raised thousands of dollars to make this Memorial Street designation a reality. The signage, a symbol of the never-ending quest for justice.
I needed something here on earth that I can see, that other people can see, to have some closure for myself, for our classmates.
And so was born the Jennifer Sue Delgado Memorial Foundation, a way for Palmer to keep the memory of his old classmate alive while helping youth reach their dreams.
Being the first recipient to receive this scholarship means so much to me. It touches me deeply that I can honor her memory in a more deeper and profound way.
I just hope in terms of the signs that's people that drive by take a moment to find out who Jennifer was and get a greater appreciation of life for their children's lives if they have any, and just be nicer to each other.
On the South Side, Zach Briggs, KENS 5.
Meanwhile, San Antonio police say they've exhausted all leads in this cold case.
Thank you. Today marks 35 years since 8-year-old Jennifer Sue Delgado was stabbed and murdered in a San Antonio laundromat. It's a case that remains unsolved to this day. In 1988, police say a man got upset after a vending machine failed to dispense a drink. Jennifer and her mother were both stabbed. Her mother survived, but Jennifer died from her wounds. Chris Palmer is a former classmate of Jennifer's, working to keep her memory alive.
Right now, my drive to preserve and honor her memory through our nonprofit organization, to keep this cold case alive, and to help students right now through our organization is getting stronger every day.
Palmer started the Jennifer Sue Delgado Memorial Foundation, where he's made it his mission to educate the masses about his classmates' story, while also raising funds for college scholarships and books for elementary school students.
I like his voice. That's the point.
San Antonio, what would Jennifer's life have been like had she lived? So he raised money and worked with the city, going through bureaucratic channels, to get street signs put up to commemorate her. And those signs will soon be going up thanks to your generosity and donations. Now he's formed a nonprofit, the Jennifer Sue Delgado Foundation. The website is jennifersuedelgado.org. You can see it underneath this piece right here. And the purpose of it is to raise scholarships for students and to give each student at Westwood Terrace Elementary, a book to take home and read over the summer each year. Why does he do it? Why does he put so much effort into keeping the memory of one little girl alive? Well, as the character in one of my favorite book series likes to say, everybody counts or nobody counts. And that's why it's important that Jennifer Sue Delgado counts. And tip of the headphones to Christopher Palmer for all the work he's done. And again, thanks to you when you've given. I'm posting the website for the new foundation if you want to get involved or follow its progress, and we'll be talking with him as the days and weeks go by. And I'll see you on the radio this afternoon for all the breaking news and all the things going on in our lives here on 550 and 107.1 KTSA, and always on demand on the Jack Riccardi page at ktsa.com.
A cold case murder from the late 80s in the spotlight once again. 8-year-old Jennifer Sue Delgado was stabbed to death while helping her mother at a laundromat in San Antonio. One of the Delgado's classmates has been working to ensure her death is never forgotten. Eyewitness News reporter Zach Briggs has more.
Christopher Palmer still remembers that smile, that red dress worn by his second-grade classmate, Jennifer Sue Delgado. She was murdered June 6, 1988.
It was tragic in the sense that she was so young, and it was for no reason at all that we know of. And she lived right across the street from the laundromat.
San Antonio police say a man became upset after a vending machine inside the laundromat failed to dispense a can of soda. He proceeded to stab Delgado and her mother. Delgado died. Her mother survived.
How, terrifying to be feet from your house and you're minding your own business and someone comes in and just for some unknown reason pulls out a knife and stabs you or your child. It's so hard to imagine.
It's an unsolved murder, a cold case that Palmer's been striving to keep in the spotlight. With community support, Palmer raised enough money to submit an application to create Jennifer Sue Delgado Memorial Way. The city council gave the green light last week, although it's unknown at this time when the street signage will be installed.
It's a big sigh of relief, not just, for me and everything I've gone through to try and get this going for the past year, but just something, we're over that hurdle and now something can be done to have a permanent memorial for Jennifer.
Lots of change over the past 3 decades. The laundromat, now a credit union. But what still stands is the reality of what happened. A little girl murdered and her killer never held accountable. But maybe one day there will be true justice.
The memorial for me brings a sense of closure. We can't have justice in terms of finding the killer. This ensures a way that she's never forgotten.
Zach Briggs, KENS 5 Eyewitness News.
Hi, I'm Patsy Torres, a native San Antonian. I love my city, I love its people, and I love its children. And that's why I'm reaching out to you today. It's in regards to the Jennifer Sue Delgado Memorial Foundation. It's a foundation.
Yeah, I told you guys it was going to pause. Now I got to go back so you can see Patsy's sick ass Tammy Faye Baker makeup.
Hi, I'm Patsy Torres, a native San Antonian. I love my city, I love its people, and I love its children. And that's why I'm reaching out to you today. It's in regards to the Jennifer Sue Delgado Memorial Foundation. It's a foundation that supports the education of young people through scholarships and books for elementary school kids. It's in memory of Jennifer Sue Delgado that was senselessly murdered at a laundromat back in June of 1988. We ask for your help and your support. Thank you ahead of time, and God bless you.
Hello, I'm Sonny Melendrez. And if you're like me, and you grew up in San Antonio, or you got here as fast as you could, you realize that our city is a city of families, a city of children. For that reason, I'm reaching out to you today to tell you about the Jennifer Sue Delgado Foundation. It's in honor of a young lady.
Okay, so this is the guy I was talking about. This is the other radio guy that everyone was obsessed with. These are some things. These are basically my notes and thoughts on the episode and some of the things that I think we can use this stuff for. And there's some things that I wanted to go over with you because you are going to, if you go into this case and you start looking into it, there are some things that you're going to notice, okay? And I kind of want to dispel those, and then we'll end the episode, and then you get treat, okay? First of all, DNA on the coin. The answer is yes. They do have, or they have fingerprint, right? They have a fingerprint. Now, my question is, can we medvac those coins, even though they've been dusted? Do they still have the machine? Was it taken out or did it stay there? I know that they likely wouldn't have swabbed it because of the year, but did they happen to retain anything with DNA on it? That's something I would really like to see. But if you were wondering, yes, they do have a fingerprint. No, it has not matched anything, at least as far as we know. Otherwise, someone would be arrested, right? Fingerprint on button or just the coin was something that I wanted to know. I called to clarify. I spoke to a few different people. No confirmation on that other than they dusted the entire thing. They have a print. And they did find the coins that he used, I believe, because they were jammed, which is why he didn't get a soda. One thing that you will see that you will go, holy shit, could this be the same person? And I have asked myself that a lot too. And I don't know that the age range holds up, but there is a very similar case in Ozona, Texas that happened in the past, that happened to a couple. And I believe it was found to be Robert Ben Rhodes, the serial killer, the trucker who committed that crime. It was also in a laundromat. It was also very brutal and violent. It also happened going into the evening, into the nighttime. And it is odd that another laundromat killing occurred, within, I believe it was within a decade of that. It might have been a little longer, but it happened to two people. And that was Robert Ben Rhodes. Is there any connection to this that we know of that's been reported? Not that I've seen, but you will run into that case and you might likely go, aha, it has been explored. Not entirely sure that there's any validity to it, especially when you consider the time frame and the possibilities. Now, Robert Ben Rhodes was in Texas. He did kidnap Regina Walters, and he did horrific things in many different ways that were extremely violent. And yeah, he did attack a couple in a laundromat. I'm not going to say in a similar fashion, but in a way that's like, holy shit, yikes, what kind of psycho would do that? Is he skinny? Is he white? Yeah. Does the age range fit? I don't think so. I don't know that he would have been described that way. So let's just say that. But has this been something considered? Sure. Unique stuff about this case, the things that I think we can glean the most from would be the height. While it was reported at 5'4", 5'2" is what I have gotten confirmation to what the mother said to the police, even though she was quoted by newspapers as 5'4". The official record says 5'2", even though on the cold case website for a long time, SAPD had it listed as 5'4". But I do believe we are working with a range situation. So a range of 5'2" to 5'4", which is fair. Because even if it was 5'4", I would say go an inch up or down. Go 5'5", 5'6", go 5'3", 5'2". So it works out. Here's what we know. He's a short motherfucker. He's white. We know what he looks like, or at least light-skinned Hispanic. Possible crooked nose. We have a pretty good description of him that matches a completely separate one from someone totally different. So that's likely what he looked like. He was young, okay? And he is really short. Having a bright blue and white Hawaiian shirt probably didn't help him any, although he got away with it for a long time. I do think that scanning through yearbooks and looking through police reports where someone did something and they were under 5'4", let's just say that. I do think if he was an older teenager or someone in their young 20s, he likely wouldn't have grown that much, probably already hit that spurt. So looking for someone short who committed a violent crime or any crime at all within 5 years after that, or maybe a year or two before. We're talking Bettero short. We're talking 2 Betteros in a trench coat would have to make up a whole human. Tom Cruise short. I mean, you put platforms on this guy, he might seem, because of his age, he might seem like, oh, that's a normal teen. But think about it this way, Clam. This guy would have been 2 to 4 inches shorter than you now as a full-blown teenager post-growth spurt. I mean, shit. So, and no offense to Bettero, I love a tiny king, but like 5'2" to 5'4" is fucking short, dude. Like, it's really little. So if you got a little guy throwing knives around a year or two later, I don't care what state they're in, but I think it would be best to start with Texas. Start San Antonio, work your way out. You feel me? So that's something, especially if he's a short dude with a fucked up nose. If they look like the sketch, that's fine. But if they look like the sketch and they're 5'10" or 6 foot or even 5'6", probably not our guy. How could we tell that? Well, if it was a crime they committed, it's going to be in a record somewhere. Now, I have scanned through Judy records, through every Texas case I could with someone under 5'5" before I realized, wow, Houston prints out height differently. So when I'm working with quotations, now I have a whole other search identifier to work with. And now I have to redo it with that. And then you realize, wow, Tyler, Texas has every single city, every county, every single area that has a police or a sheriff's office with a record that is in Judy records has different search identifiers for how that. Some will say height, blah, blah, weight, blah, blah. Some will just say, you would just put in parentheses 5 apostrophe 7, with a close quote. Now, some of them put 5 space foot or 5 dash. So it's all different. So that complicates it even more. Then you have to consider Judy records doesn't have every fucking record. So now you got to go county by county, clerk by clerk. It's a lot to do. Racetracks, yes, there was Retama, but it was north. And also, Erica, good that you thinking jockey? Thinking a little jockey guy? And you know what's weird? Retama wasn't built till 2 years after that. It's when they started building it. However, I don't know if this guy's fit to be a jockey if he's getting pissed off at quarters. Nice thought, though. That's a good point. Who played the elves, at the mall? These are things that I think would help narrow it down, but sorting through heights is going to be a difficult task. It's going to take a ton of people. And that's presuming he committed any crimes after. If he got locked up in a mental institution, he's still there. We might never hear from him. But also, I think something we could do is be super spreaders. Spread the shit out of those mugshots. Because when you look Jennifer Sue Delgado's case up, when you Google it, it takes a minute before you see that mugshot. You mainly see pictures of her. So getting pictures of him pushed out there into the public to the demographic it should be pushed out to, which I think is 30 and up. Invading this shit in every Reddit for every city in the area and state and unresolved, like invading every area of social media with this guy's picture could help, could ring a bell. Don't bother the family, please. That's all I ask. Don't bother them. Leave them alone. Here's another thing, and then we're going to wrap it up. Direction of vehicle going 90. Was he escaping towards a literal final destination after that crime? Were they going to a house? Were they going somewhere else? Did they go to a hospital because he got injured? I don't know. Did he get injured? Did he cut himself? I don't know. Was there any Hawaiian shirt spirit days going on that final week of school? Was there a final week of school going on that time? If so, which schools? One sketch looks like it had a broken or crooked nose. Should we integrate that into the other and have a third separate sketch where they're merged? Like Bridge Guy type of shit. The gangs were particularly terrible back then. Gang violence was escalating at the time. There are quite a few gangs that Puro Ochos was big. The Kings were big. There were a lot of gangs in San Antonio. I do have a list of those that were active. God, they have some stupid names. But what kind of gang would allow these types in, and what side of the city were they on? And by these types, I mean white boys in Hawaiian shirts who are really short. I don't see that faring well in a San Antonio street gang from that time, but whatever. Maybe. With that attitude, maybe. I don't know. The suspect was reported being Hispanic, car gray, but also a white man with a silver car. You have to remember those things are interchangeable. And also, yes, did he have a scar on his chin or not? Was that a shadow? We can consider it. So that's interesting. These are all things that we need to consider. And also, what can we do with that? The height we can work with, that can be a funnel. Every single thing I listed can be a funnel. Can we push to get a medvac on that evidence? Can we push to get those FOIA records released, which I've been waiting on and haven't gotten anything back for? Is there a way to, can we go through Police Blotter and see if there was anything else going on that night or the next night? Can we spread this on social media? These are all just ideas that we can work with. And also, can we look up a silver or gray Honda around that time in any records for, oh, I don't know, getting pulled over because you were driving too fucking fast away from a crime? All possibilities. I think the most successful could be searching through high school yearbooks from that area and outward, and then trying to find any matching heights of light-skinned Hispanic or white fellas from that time. He did go westbound on 90, yes. So I think that those are going to be the most successful and the most obvious. And then third is obviously spreading the picture to everybody. The Hawaiian shirt still bothers me. Like seeing a dude that looked like that was that tiny in a Hawaiian shirt. It's like, hey, everybody, look at me. I'm a funny guy. Like, I feel like people would notice him at the mall. Also, that was the year River Center Mall opened, but it wasn't open yet. So, like, malls were a big gathering place. It's usually where you get a shirt like that. Anybody recognize him? They'd never spend. That's another thing. I would love to try to keep it. I'm going back to the library next week. I would love to go back and actually, I'm glad you said that too, Razzle Dazzle, because I am working on a full figured picture of this guy with clothes from that time. I have jeans that are Levi's were the best I could come up with because I was looking at what was the most popular. Blue jeans. I've got the most popular blue and white Hawaiian shirt that I could find, which is that hibiscus print. And I've got all the descriptions of him to make a full-bodied picture, and then to put a comparison next to a vending machine with the exact size ratio at that time, and then the silver car all on one poster with their face. And I've been working on that, and I'm almost done with it, so I will put that out, but they do not say what type of knife. I would love to get confirmation on that. I'm going to star that, and I'm going to write that down as something that I should call and bother them about. I am ripping the short kings indeed. Okay. That is our episode. I don't know that he would have been working at a business with that type of shirt, but that's a good point. Maybe. I'm starring that. That's good. I would think Dick's Last Resort or Joe's Crab Shack, but I don't think they were open back then. There was like Peter Piper Pizza and shit like that. I will look into that. I will see. I believe the mother, if she described him as white, but in Texas, yeah, exactly. Especially Anglo people. I mean, again, I'm half Hispanic. Come on. Like, I don't look at it at all. People will laugh at that. So, I can totally see him getting mistaken. Like, Anglo-Saxon people look fucking white as shit sometimes, and sometimes they look like your Tio at the fair, This episode is over, but we're not done. I have a special treat. I'm going to show you this little thing called Alamo City Heat. Okay, this is who used to come to our school and tell us not to do drugs. Oh my God, an Alamo City Heat concert from 1990. Keep that forever and pausing it, making it big. You're in for a treat. Until they show up, it's Alamo City Heat. Woohoo! Alamo City Heat, my treat. You guys want? You guys want? This is a cop band that told us not to do drugs. Here we go.
That's the way we do it.